In this video, we want to compare best practices on how to use a burnisher properly and how to use a buffer properly. Of course, to review, this is a buffer, strip machine, swing machine, polisher. That's what people refer to as this machine. The burnisher goes back and forth like you were mowing your lawn, and a swing machine, literally, you run it by swinging back and forth. And we'll go run through the best practices of both these machines' operation. All right, best practice with a burnisher. I think the best place to start is with the pad, because by far the most frequent problem with a burnisher, either in a premature burnout of a motor or an unhappy customer with burned wax on the floor, is because they're not using the right pad. So the correct pad would be any of these light colored bubblegum, sky blue hair pads. That's a white hair pad, aqua, the good in between pad, a heavy duty hair pad, and then a tan pad. So these are all burnishing pads, and they will clean up your floor. Different waxes respond better to different finishes, and so different waxes just respond better to different pads. And so we just want to make sure. And the one thing I want to point out that's most important when it comes to practicing a burnisher, you do not see a white pad in my hand, right? So a white pad, generally from any manufacturer, is rated to go up to 600 RPM. If you read the box, it will say that. And so this happens to be a 2000 RPM machine. And if you look at the case of any one of these pads, it's designed for a pad to go this type of speed. The next thing, to just very best practice on a burnisher, is when you put the pad on, make sure that the retainer is screwed in all the way, and that the pad is fully centered, so when you spin it, it's really just going in a perfect circle, and you'll get very little vibration that way. Next step with a burnisher, and this particular burnisher is a dust control burnisher. So in here we have a bag here that'll fill up with the dust as we're burnishing. The first thing I want to show you when it actually comes to actually operating the machine, what do you do with this cord? Because this is a mistake. You never put a cord around your shoulder, around your back, around your neck. All right, if something happens to this machine and you get caught up in it, it's a very, very big safety hazard. The best place to put this cord is right in your belt. Put this cord right here. And now when I run to the end of the cord, it's going to tug on me and I'll feel it. And it's not around my neck. There's nothing here that can hurt me. So I want to put the handle down on this machine. There's a safety on top, red button. I'm going to push the safety, then pull the trigger. And I walk back and forth. And when you're done, you'll have a spectacular shine. I don't know if the camera can pick up the shine on this floor, but it's a great way to go. All right, so we want to talk about best practice when it comes to operating a swing machine, buffer, fall polisher, stripper. Those are all the names this machine is meant by. First of all, on the machine, you've got a pad driver, and there's a pad. What you want to do is mount the pad so the pad is pretty even on the machine. Typically, the pads that go on a buffer, swing machine, stripper, polisher are darker colored pads than burnishing pads. So red pad is kind of a daily, everyday scrub. A blue pad is a little heavier. Green would be heavier. even still, and then black would be a stripping pad. All right. So on the machine, what I wanted to talk about before we actually run the machine is how do you make a machine with just a pad on the floor go the way you want it to go. It can be very dangerous for somebody who does not understand the physics of how this works. So basically, if I take this pad, and when it's under the machine, it's on the floor perfectly level, and I turn the machine on, this will spin in the same exact position. If everything is level on dead center here, all right? But if I put a little pressure on this side, as it spins, the pressure here drives it that way. When I put pressure on the back side, still spinning in the same direction, but it drives the pad back this way. Conversely, if I put the pressure this way, it's going to move towards me. If I put the pressure on the outside, it's going to move away from me. So basically, it is, if you add a little pressure back and forth, you'll get forward or back. You'll get left to right. Side to side, you get front to back. So it's all about balance on the machine, and where you put the weight of the machine. If you put it towards the front of the machine, it's going to drive you one direction. If you put it to the back of the machine, it'll drive you the other direction. It takes a little practice, but I'm going to show you how it is. One thing I want to also make sure that some people really put way too much pressure on the front or the back, and the machine can get out of control. So when we add pressure to the front of the back, we're only going to lift this handle 1/4 of an inch. We're going to lower it 1/4 of an inch, and you'll see how the machine travels based on how I turn this handle. All right, so I think we're ready to go with the machine. First thing you always want to do is put the pad driver on. Always put the machine on its back and mount the pad driver onto the machine before you put it on the floor. Now what I want to show you is the first thing we do is lower the handle, and you kind of have the bend of your hip. The height of this handle has everything to do with control of the machine. So if I'm right here at the bend of my hip, I have perfect control on the machine. If I'm too high, the machine is very difficult. If I'm too low, my back will be killing me. And so you kind of set it right on the bend of your hip and then lock it down right there. Now the first thing, if Gary can catch this, when I let go of this machine, that handle went down about 4 inches. So the weight of that handle is putting all this pressure on the back side. So if I start this now, that machine's going to swing off to one side. I don't want that. So what I want to do is pick it up so it's level, then press the safety, pull the trigger, and if this is just sitting here perfectly still like this, it's perfectly level. It's not pulling on me. It's not difficult to do. Now if I raise it 1/4 of an inch, lower the handle 1/4 of an inch, raise it 1/4 of an inch, lower it 1/4 of an inch, twist it so the weight's on this side, pushes me, twist it this way, and it pulls me forward. So it's really quite simple. When you're dead level, we're not moving at all, I raise it 1/4 of an inch, it goes to the right. Lower it a tiny bit, goes to the left. This takes a little practice, and as you get good at it, you're going to want to not just be sitting in the same position. You're going to, as you move it, you're going to walk with it. As I press down, now I walk with it so the machine is always headed right in front of me. Back and forth. Now if I went too far, the machine can take off on you. All right, you don't want to do that. That's not control. Control is have no stress in your body at all. Get it perfectly level, and then just learn to raise it 1/4, tiny bit. Lower it a tiny bit. When you get as far as you want to go, you raise it back up. As far as you want to go, you lower it back down. So that's the basics of how to run a sewing machine. The one thing I did not show you, I broke my own rule, is I did not secure the cord in my belt, all right? So whenever you're running a machine with a cord, it's best to have it in your belt, if you can get it in there, because that's the safest place, never around your neck.